Hello students, I hope all of you are doing well. In this video, we will solve one parajumble based on the theme music. Now, there was a passage which appeared in CAT 2025 slot 1 RC, which was based on this theme, but it is not necessary that you will get only reading comprehensions on these themes. You can also get non-RC questions based on these themes, and that is the reason we are also going to solve non-RC questions. Okay, so today we are going to solve one parajumble. Let's get started. Okay, as I told you already, the main theme is music. Let us read the question. Rearrange the following sentences to form a coherent paragraph. So what you have to do in parajumbles is you have to rearrange the options that are given to you in such a way that they form a coherent paragraph. So again, I will tell you, you have to find out pairs. You have to find out pronouns. While solving, automatically you will learn these techniques, but beforehand I'm telling you, so note it down if you want to note it somewhere. It is always, you know, a good way, a good pattern to really find out the pairs which go together. And once you understand the introductory sentence and the concluding sentence, it becomes easier for you to place those pairs in such a way that you find the correct option. Okay, chaliye start karte hain. Option A, neuroscientific studies have shown that music activates multiple regions of the brain, including those associated with emotion, memory, and reward processing. Okay, so we are talking about neuroscientific studies that has shown that music activates certain regions of brain and activate emotion, memory, and reward processing. This seems as an introductory sentence in itself because it is introducing what music activates and how music really works in our brain, how it helps our brain. That is something that it is stating. That's the reason it might be the introductory sentence, but we don't know. You have to read the other sentences as well. This explains why certain songs can evoke vivid personal memories. This explains what do you mean by this now? This certainly refers to something. It may certainly refer to the thing that is already mentioned in sentence A, that music activates. What is this? Music activates multiple regions of the brain, including those associated with emotion, memory, and reward processing. So music activates these regions of the brain. Is something that this must be representing. This explains why certain songs can evoke vivid personal memories or intense emotional responses, because it activates what? It activates the region of memory, emotion. So because of these two things, it certainly will create intense emotional responses even after long periods of time, because it activates these areas of brain, right? So A and B are certainly a pair. Okay. Unlike other stimuli, music engages the brain in a predictive manner as listeners continuously anticipate upcoming notes and rhythms. Now, this is a different sentence altogether, but it is still the extension of what is being talked about. We are constantly talking about how music helps our brain or how music activates our brain. So, unlike other stimuli, music in itself is considered as a stimuli, and something opposite to that or something different than that is being introduced here. Unlike other stimuli, music engages the brain in predictive manner as listeners continuously anticipate coming notes and rhythms. So this can be the next sentence in itself, but we don't know. We'll check the next sentence first. Such findings. Now, such findings, what findings are we talking about? Brain. So we are talking about this here, no? Engages the brain in such a predictive, listeners continuously anticipate. So what happens when listeners actually listen to music? It or they continuously anticipate upcoming notes and rhythms, right? So, we are talking about these things when we say such findings have led researchers to explore the therapeutic potential of music. Why? Because we already know what kind of rhythms or what kind of notes will we listen to. So we are constantly gauging that, and because of this activity that goes on in our brain, it has certain therapeutic potential of music in treating conditions like anxiety, depression, and neurological disorders. Again, these two sentences are also a pair. Okay. So, as we can see very clearly, these two sentences are will certainly follow any other sentence. These won't be the lead sentence, or these won't be the introductory sentences, right? So, introductory sentences are already given at the start. A is introductory sentence, and because A and B is a pair, so A and B will come together, C and D certainly will follow. So the option here is, okay, which of the following is the correct order of the sentence? Now, as we already know that A and B will come together and C and D will come together, the correct order here is A, B, C, D. Automatically, A, B, C, D is the option which is correct. Other options, it does not make sense, or even if we try other options, automatically they won't, they will disrupt the flow, right? And we need a coherent paragraph here. So coherent paragraph will be formed only when A, B, C, D will be kept as it is. Okay, so this was the parajumble, guys. Rearrange the following sentences to form a coherent paragraph. हमें पता ही है हमें क्या करना है. हमको देखना है कि कौन से pairs है, कौन से introductory lines है, कौन से concluding lines है, कौन से पहले आने चाहिए, कौन से बाद में आने चाहिए, और फिर उसे ऐसे rearrange करना है कि हमें coherent paragraph मिले, right? So let's get started. पढ़ते हैं अब एक-एक करके. Some researchers argue that music evolved as a byproduct of language, emerging incidentally from the cognitive mechanisms that enable structured communication. Now, some researchers argue, what do they argue? That the music evolved as a byproduct of language. So, language came first and music came later, emerging incidentally from the cognitive mechanism that enable structured communication. So, it is a byproduct of language which incidentally emerged to enable us to what? Enable structured communication. Okay. This view, however, is challenged by those who believe that music served specific adaptive functions such as strengthening social bonds or aiding in mate selection. Now, this view that it was just, what view? I think the view that we have read is only option A. Music evolved as a byproduct of language and it helped us enable structured communication. So, this cannot be an opposing view. It is also talking about something positive about music, right? So, we have to still check what view are we talking about here. Okay. So, but let's see, this view, however, is challenged. The view that we are talking about is challenged by something, by what? Who believe that music served specific adaptive functions. There were certain functions that music helped us do. One is strengthening social bonds and aiding in mate selection. Okay. The question of why music exists in human societies has long puzzled evolutionary theorists. Now, as you can see, this certainly is our opening statement because C is actually introducing the topic. What is the topic here? That why music exists. And all the other things that we have read by now are the reasons for that, right? So, the question of why music exists in human societies has long puzzled evolutionary theorists. Certainly is going to be the first option, which is introductory sentence. Okay. Now, what can come after this, guys? Puzzled evolutionary theorist. We don't know. We will still check the D option and then decide how to rearrange it. Evidence from diverse cultures where music plays a central role in rituals and collective activities is often cited to support this functional perspective. What functional perspective are we talking about here? Evidence from diverse cultures. adaptive functions, role rituals, dysfunctional perspective. So B and D will certainly come together, right? B and D can be our pair. C is our introductory sentence. Uh, it can be like C, A, B and D. But do we have such option over here? Let's check. Of course we have. CABD is the option here. Why CABD? Because C is introducing, and once C introduces that why we are still puzzled about this question, we are reiterating the same thing in option A by saying some researchers argue that music evolved as a byproduct of language. Then we are giving the reasons that why music has evolved. So the first reason is given in A, and as B and D will go together, the view. So this was the view that they are challenging, that it is incidental, it is evolved as a just as a byproduct of language. No, we are saying in this view, we are contradicting this by saying it has other adaptive functions also, and that is strengthened by option D, and that is the reason C, A, B, D is the correct answer over here. I hope you have understood this, guys. Solve third parajumble. Rearrange the following sentences to form a coherent paragraph. अब ये sentences हम एक एक करके पढ़ने वाले हैं. While classical poets relied on meter and rhythm to evoke musicality, modern systems increasingly attempt to algorithmically replicate such aesthetic patterns. अब ये सेंटेंस पढ़ के ही आपको समझ में आ रहा है कि ये किसी चीज़ के बारे में बड़ा एलैबोरेशन है, तो इस चीज़ के बारे में पहले ही बोला जा चुका होगा. अब ये चीज़ क्या है ये भी आप समझिए. इट इज़ अबाउट द original way how music was created by humans and how now it is created by AI, artificial intelligence. Okay, comparison between that. So in somewhere in the previous statements they must have mentioned about this comparison or music in general created by humans and AI. Somewhere they must have mentioned it. So this doesn't seem as an introductory statement. Let's see this next statement now. This raises an intriguing question. Can the essence of musicality in poetry, once considered deeply human, be authentically reproduced by artificial intelligence? Now we are saying this raises an intriguing question. We have to find out what is this. Okay? Let's refer to the A option once again. While classical poets relied on meter and rhythm to evoke musicality, modern systems increasingly attempt to algorithmically replicate such aesthetic patterns. They are doing the same things like the classical poet used to do on their own. This raises an intriguing question. Can the essence of musicality in poetry, once considered deeply human, be authentically reproduced by artificial intelligence? Now, here we are talking about what AI does, how AI can replicate these aesthetically intricate patterns. And in the next option, in the next line, we are saying that this raises a question whether music that was considered as deeply human can actually be created by AI. So don't you think that these things are actually connected? Of course, these are connected because first one is elaborating on music by AI and music by earlier poets, and then next point is raising the question on the same statement that has been mentioned, right? It is asking us question about what is already mentioned. So, and what is already mentioned is something that it is referring to by this word this. So these two things are certainly connected. इसीलिए A and B are pair. So A और B साथ में आएंगे और B जो है वो A के बाद ही आएगा. So it will be like instead of plus I should say AB. AB is a pair. Okay. Now let's see the next option. Not option, sentence basically. Music and poetry have long shared an intimate relationship with cadence, tone, and rhythm forming a bridge between the two art forms. Now we are talking about music and poetry. In both the options before, we have already talked about music and poetry, but both are elaboration of some concept. Now here we are coming up with the original statement based on which the other two statements were based, right? So music and poetry have long, so here we are introducing it. Ki music and poetry have long shared an intimate relation with cadence, tone, rhythm forming a bridge between two art forms. This is a very generic kind of opening statement. So this can be the opening statement for this particular parajumble, but we will still check DNE and then decide what could be our opening statement. Yet, despite impressive advances, critics argue that AI generated words often lacks the intuitive emotional resonance that underpins truly musical poetry. Now, we are saying that despite of all the efforts AI is making, it is still not as good as humans. This is the summary of this particular line. Okay. Now, we are saying how it is replicating, and then we are saying that it raises a question that whether it is human, right? And then we are talking about how it is not as good as humans. So see how it is linked, okay? Everything is linked together. Consequently, the debate is no longer about whether AI can mimic structure, but whether it can internalize and express the experiential depth that gives poetry its music. So again, as you can see, these two points are related. Why they are related? Because this is contradicting the fact that AI can actually produce the music. And as an elaboration of this, key points come up with another point reiterating that now it is not the question if AI can actually produce the music and poetry, it can do that, but does it have that kind of depth or that kind of, or whether it can internalize and express the experiential depth that gives poetry its music, right? So D and E also come together. So as we can see clearly now that C is certainly the introductory statement, because C is the statement that is talking about music and poetry in a most generic manner. तो C हो गया हमारा introductory statement. अब यहाँ देखते हैं rhythm forming a bridge between the two art forms. While classical poets relied on meter and rhythm to evoke musicality, modern systems increasingly attempt algorithmically repeated such पैटर्न. सब क्लासिकल पोएट क्या करते थे और फिर एआई क्या कर रहा है, इसकी बात की जा रही है. तो सी के बाद डायरेक्टली ये बात नहीं आएगी, डायरेक्टली वो बात नहीं आएगी जो कॉन्ट्राडिक्ट कर रही है. उसके बाद वो बात आएगी जो अगला फैक्टर या अगला थॉट डिस्क्राइब कर रही है, एलैबोरेट कर रही है, राइट? सो पहले थॉट तो एलैबोरेटली बताया जाए किसी पैसेज में, तब तो उसका कॉन्ट्राडिक्शन आएगा ना. कुछ है ही नहीं तो उसका कॉन्ट्राडिक्शन कहाँ से डायरेक्टली आ जाएगा. इसीलिए सी के बाद आएगा ए, एंड एज वी नो दैट ए एंड बी इज अ पेयर, तो सी के बाद आएगा ए बी, और ऑटोमेटिकली डी एंड ई इज अ पेयर, सो डी और ई इसके बाद आ जाएगा. तो हमारा आंसर होगा सी ए बी डी ई. ठीक है, फिर से मैं लिख देती हूँ यहाँ पे क्लियरली. हमारा आंसर होगा सी ए बी डी ई. ओके, सो आई होप गाइज आपको समझ में आ गया है कि किस तरीके से पैराजम्बल्स आपको सॉल्व करने हैं. नहीं भी आया तो कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं है, क्योंकि यूट्यूब पे तो हम आपको आपके लिए लेके आने ही वाली है ये सीरीज, जहाँ पर आरसीज और नॉन आरसीज दोनों हम डिस्कस कर रहे हैं. सो एस्पिरेंट्स हु आर लुकिंग फॉरवर्ड टू अटेम्प्ट 2026 CAT एग्जाम, make sure that you stay tuned with us. Apart from that, even if you're interested in solving past year papers, if you're interested in learning concepts and doing a lot of practice, go to our website and check our courses. We have courses for both quantitative aptitude and verbal ability. Okay, so you can check the link of our courses in the description box. So guys, what are you waiting for? Start practicing as soon as possible now. It is already the month of April. Okay, देखते देखते सारा टाइम बीत जाएगा, and you will still keep thinking. Stop thinking, start acting. Okay? And stay tuned. See you in the next video.